Hey everyone, our big conversation this week, we're talking with USC star and Team USA athlete Ava Stryker. Ava, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
First things first, let's clear it up. I think once upon a time I made the mistake and highlight of assuming that you guys were related. Ava Stryker, Tally Stryker, sisters, long lost cousins, any relation?
Yeah, we wanted to say that we were cousins for a little bit. We had a little conversation, but yeah, there's no relation there,
All
unfortunately.
right, it's the movie will have to wait. That would have been a fun little story. Now on to serious business. USC, the matter at hand. One seed going to the MPSF tourney, taking care of business during the regular year. You earn that bye. You don't play till Saturday in Berkeley. Take me inside the huddle here. What are the vibes? What's the energy around this team looking towards the postseason?
Yeah, we're super excited and feeling pretty confident, obviously coming off of a really great season. And I think it's comforting to know that, it's not like it's been sunshine and rainbows. Like we've had to deal with adversity in these like past few weeks. So like going through adversity and then coming out successful on the other side has like really given us a lot of confidence. And so yeah, we're really excited and ready to get after it again this weekend.
And how about the journey for you this season? You started the year not with your team because you were playing with Team USA abroad early on, and then get back with USC. And you had to miss a little time recently. So you mentioned the university. It's been a little bit like peaks and valleys there. How have you kind of handled that, and obviously still played such a critical role with the team?
Yeah, it was a really hard decision to make at the beginning of the season, not being there with our team. Obviously, we love spending time together, and those practices that we get in Hell Month or whatever in January are really like foundation laying practices. So it was a hard decision to not be here, but I think ultimately we came out stronger at the other end, just like getting that experience abroad, all three of us, me, Rachel, and Emily. Um, so yeah, I think it ultimately helped our team grow.
And then in this stretch run, I think the fan maybe just kind of jumping in here at the end and looking at the postseason. If you were to compare numbers and say, hey, Ava's stats down a little bit from last year, just overall goal scoring. But then you look at the breadth of the team, right? And there's such balance and depth of who can be an offensive contributor. How would you describe all the weapons this USC team has? It seems like while there are people putting up numbers, you don't need to do as much because there's so much to work with.
Totally. I think this has actually been one of the most connected teams I've ever been on. And like as fun as last year was, I think you're right in that we were a little bit too dependent on like individual performances. And when there was a feeling like, oh no, like this person isn't doing too much, it would kind of bring the team like belief down, if that makes sense. So we've actually been kind of discussing this in our team culture meetings, but like the confidence and trust that we have in every single person to perform their role and do their role to the best of their abilities is so strong this year. And there's so much trust in like each individual, and that someone will step up if this person isn't having a good day, or this person can't play, or so yeah, it's been really awesome to see and be a part of that communal trust, I guess.
You all close out the regular season, some important wins there. Cal, UCLA, the USC UCLA rivalry is so great across all sports. This year, it's been back and forth, right? They've taken some from you, you've taken some from them. How do you describe the meetings with the Bruins this year, and maybe how closely matched the two teams are?
Yeah, definitely a lot of respect for that team. They're really talented and really disciplined. So I think just not getting comfortable with how we prepare, if that makes sense, like just taking every game for how it is, and yeah, being preparing no matter how many times we've played them, or treating them kind of like, yes, it is a big rivalry, but treating them like how we would treat any other team and going into it the same way. But I mean, it's always, I mean, playing at home against them was probably one of the highlights of my career. Just so much energy all around. And yeah, I mean, it's always a great day to beat the Bruins, but still going into it as we would any other team and kind of looking past that when we prepare.
Sure, sure. Looking to this weekend, you talked about the team had been working for this bye, right? You wanted to earn that day off on Friday, so to speak. The flip side of that coin, right, is that there's no easy day, right? You're going to step right into the fire here in a semifinal against a really strong opponent on Saturday. How do you go from 0 to 60 when you have to turn it on quick in a tourney fashion, right? There's no kind of ease in day.
Totally. I think our coaches have done a good job of preparing us and strategizing around that bye day. So we will have kind of a mock game inter squad on Friday. Hopefully, getting us ready for that physicality level on Saturday and getting us in the game mode. We're going in thinking we've been training this week like we're going to play on Friday essentially. So I think that'll be pretty helpful, especially because none of us have been in a tournament where we don't play on Friday in the past 4 or 3 years. So yeah, strategizing around that has been a big one leading up to this weekend.
And then you never want to rest on your laurels, right? But the job you all did in the regular season by getting that 1 seed for MPSF, putting yourself already into the semifinal, you've put yourself in a really fantastic place to make NCAAs and have an opportunity there in San Diego. Is there, I don't know if it's a sense of relief or a sense of calm or confidence. How would you describe the emotion that is elicited by knowing, hey, we've done an important piece of this job? It's not done yet, but we've done an important piece of this job.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And there's always, we want to play to win and not play to lose, or play not to lose versus play to win. I think that's been a huge topic on our team right now. And the analogy that I always think of is from Cammie Craig, actually, like a person holding a dog toy and being all tense and like trying not to let the dog have the toy, and the dog's like jumping up and trying to get it, and really just like trying to be the dog in that situation and like just going after it and like going for it. And I think that's why we've been so successful, is because we just have people that are competitive, working hard, and like being themselves too, and like being authentic and just like going for it. So I think keeping that mentality, despite like, even if we go down and we're like, oh shoot, like what, all this like success that we've had, just like being the dog and continuing to like play to win and not play to lose.
How do you take last year's run at NCAAs and try and turn that into something positive this year, right? There was that epic semifinal, but then coming up short in the final. Is there a way to use that to your advantage this time around?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of emotion that comes with that, and using it in the right way, and like using our experiences in the right way, and not like taking too much but also not taking too little. But I think the best thing that we can take from it is just the feeling. And yeah, I mean, we're hungry for a win. So
the Trojans have upset the Cardinal as they jump out of their skin.
the halftime is obviously longer, and I don't know if we were completely as prepared as we could have been for the halftime to be longer last year. So maybe going into this year with a better plan for that longer like commercial break in between. But yeah, those are the two things.
This is a good time for a PSA. The halftime will be long again. So any women that are headed to NCAAs know that you're going to have at least a 10-minute break at halftime.
Yeah,
so that's a good point. That's stuff to build on that you probably don't know that. I mean, you know it. I'm sure someone said something about it, but you don't live it till you live it, right? And now you kind of have been through that.
Yeah. I mean, you plan for it, but there's only so much you can do without having experienced it. So it'll be interesting to see what we come up with this year, I think.
I'm glad you mentioned Cammie Craig earlier, because it's a great segue into talking about Santa Barbara area water polo, and you're just the latest standout athlete to come from that area, San Marcos High School. What is it, in your estimation, about Santa Barbara that just produces fantastic women's water polo athletes?
Yeah, I mean, huge shout out to the coaches there, Kathy Newshel, Connor, Chucky. All those coaches have literally impacted my life in so many different ways. And I think they have built such a strong community that every time I go home, I know I can go to a club practice, a swim practice, a high school practice, and just be like surrounded by people who they've coached and like have the same dedication to the sport, I think. But it's really special, and I have a lot of pride coming from that area. And obviously it's been so much fun to play with Ryan and Paige this past spring or winter. But yeah, they're just it's a really strong water polo community, and it's awesome to see that it's still like continuing on. And Amanda, obviously, but yeah.
Of course. I know. I mean, the list is just so long of all the women that have come through there, and I just wonder, like, as you're aging up, like, what was your origin story a little bit? How did you want to get into water polo, and when did you kind of get a sense of, man, this community really supports this sport. And there are so many women that have come before me that have had great success and opportunity. When did you kind of get that sense, and how did you work your way up?
Yeah. I mean, I started because my sister played and my older sister, so that kind of introduced me to the sport. And then by the time I got through middle school, I wasn't ever like getting picked for the ODP like teams or whatever. I wasn't ever super like good, I guess you could say, until like middle of high school. I realized, wow, I could actually do something with this and play college water polo. And looking up to people that had come from Santa Barbara was definitely a huge part of my development, because you don't you when you see it you can believe it, I guess. And so yeah, having those legends come out of SB was really inspiring, especially the 2020 year in Tokyo. Just listening to those stories and being inspired by them was huge for my development, I think. Yeah.
And so what changed then, if you talked about kind of in your words and not being good, right? But just like at a certain level, what was the turning point for you taking that next leap to now you're someone that USC wants on their team, and you're someone that Team USA is talking about? Was that a personal choice? Like tell me about how that
Yeah.
evolved.
Yeah. It wasn't like a steady incline, I guess, but there was a moment, COVID happened and that was a big setback. And then I broke my wrist and all these different things were going on. But, I like still came back to water polo and I still really enjoyed it and had so much fun with like the people and the girls I was playing with. And my coaches made it such like a good environment to be in. And I just like slowly started to make teams and like make rosters and get invited to things. And I think the more that I was surrounded by people who with better skills than me and that were like doing things I couldn't do, the more I wanted to like be them and get better and like, yeah, I don't know, just improve myself. So I think being constantly surrounded by people that were better than me was huge in that aspect, which is the same for, I guess, anyone. But I don't know, just like the constant exposure to more talent and like different things really helped me like grow, and just the little confidence of like seeing my name on that email or getting shouted out from my coach. And Ethan D'Amato was huge in my development throughout. We went to Youth World Champs, and that was where I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to make an Olympic roster kind of like soon after that. So yeah, I guess just like those little confidence boosters that you find along the way.
You were part of the senior team at the World Championships last summer in Singapore. You mentioned some of the competition and training earlier this year. Getting that opportunity at the highest level that we have here in the U.S., what has that done for your game, your confidence, the way you play, your experience, all of it?
So I can't even put into words, honestly. Just like the level of aggression, I'd say, is the first thing that's like helped me improve. Just being able to deal with it and also give it back in some ways. But yeah, and then just being surrounded by those girls like in and out of the water has helped me so much. Just great personalities and constantly, no matter what the circumstances, working their butts off. Like if it's a crappy day or like a great day, they're just going after it. And like, yeah, just being surrounded by them is really helped me as an athlete, but also as a person. And just like the culture that they've established on that team is something it's pretty rare to find. So yeah.
Is there a moment as you're kind of getting acclimated to the senior team, whether it's a training in Long Beach or maybe it was a exhibition or even in Singapore, that was kind of like a eye opener for you? Like, hey, I'm playing at a pretty high level, but like, whoa, like I need to find another gear to kind of match what this is.
Mm-hmm. Was there a moment that was?
Yeah, is there something, I think you hear athletes talk about, I got into a game against a woman who's been playing for 15 years for Hungary and
Mm-hmm.
found myself like, whoa, like I can hang, but this is like something different.
Yeah. Um, I'd say I've had quite a few moments like that. Definitely over the summer. I mean, like just getting humbled,
Sure.
basically.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think just the strength that they have, like,
Like the physical strength you're talking about?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and the speed that they're able to carry throughout games. I definitely remember. I think it was one of the first days that we got to Singapore. We like did a scrimmage against Hungary, and that was my first time kind of playing against their senior team. That was like all there, and that was definitely like, oh gosh, like I'm in for a ride here. But yeah, probably that day.
And
Yeah.
then the flip side of that question I love to ask is like, okay, so that's your like welcome to the big leagues moment, so to speak, right? But then in that tourney earlier this year, when's a moment where you're like, I can do this. I know what to do. I can operate at this most elite level. Is there a memory there?
Um, I'd say, I guess when we played Netherlands over the winter when we went during season,
Yep.
and that was the first time that I'd like scored more than like a goal or two goals in a game. And I don't know, I guess just like there were shots that I normally don't make, and just seeing the work that I put in to make those things happen, or those passes, or like I think counterattack is definitely one of my like specialties, I guess you could say. But just like seeing the work that I put in to develop those skills pay off in a moment where there's a lot of pressure. Not that that game had like, well, not a gold medal game or bronze medal game or anything like that, but just, feeling like there was pressure on me to perform and like prove that I was able to be in that situation. I got sat the game before, actually, so I was like going through it a little bit, being like, man, like, am I actually like as good as I think I am, or do I suck? Like, so just seeing like those doubts kind of not necessarily go away, but have some confidence be instilled in me just through performing and being not satisfied with my performance, but just, a little bit more confident than I was the day before or whatever. So yeah.
You mentioned at that youth worlds that kind of gave you this idea that, hey, I want to do this, and I'd love to try to strive for an Olympic team. We're 2 years out, but the hype is starting to grow already for LA. I'm sure you have someone in your life that it was on a ticket email and they finally got the word that they can go and buy tickets. It's
Yeah.
chaos right now to try to get anything. From the athletic standpoint, you have this main thing in front of you this weekend, and you have another big event 2 weeks after that. How do you compartmentalize the thing in front of you, the dream in the future, all of it?
Yeah, that's a great question. Something I'm still learning how to do, I guess. We're leaving for World Cup qualifiers the day after NC2A. So me and my roommates were joking, like, we literally have to pack like 6 days before we even think about going, and still have to focus on NC2As and knowing that we're leaving the day after. So it's definitely been like a growth, like continuous process. I think just focusing on the team that we have here, but also like knowing the things I want to improve on in order to be in a position to make the roster in 2028, like the things that I can do in practice here and like implement those things. If that kind of, I don't know, answers your question, but just like little things that I can work on no matter what team I'm on. But yeah, it's definitely been hard for sure. So it's a process.
And I think that's something every athlete is dealing with, whether they've never been or they're trying to go for the fourth time or whatever it is. So I don't know that feeling ever totally goes away, right? But you probably develop, as you're talking about, like tactics and tools to kind of work through it. One I think probably helpful thing is you have your USC teammates. You mentioned Emily, Rachel, people that you're around all the time. That you've also had this USA experience with. How do you describe the bond between all of you when you have all of this water polo together?
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty unique and one of the not necessarily one of a kind, but I don't know, it's unique because we do spend so much time together and we know each other's goals and aspirations and like I don't know, things that we're good at, things that we're bad at, and like that really helps when we're trying to like hold each other accountable, or we want to hold each other accountable and do everything we can to like help out the person next to us. So yeah, we were talking about like how we can prepare for 28. So yeah, sharing our weaknesses. Honestly, I've shared that I like want to round out my skills and like be a better defender. So Rachel's been huge in like helping me. She's a defender and also a center. But in the fall, we did a lot of work together. Just like, yeah, it's like being vulnerable, but also helping each other out. And yeah, so it's been cool, and they're the best people ever in and out of the water. So it's a special bond.
Last thing for you here, your last name would suggest you are a scorer, right? Ava Stryker. Have people had good play on words in the past? Has there been like a headline in like the Santa Barbara newspaper like Stryker strikes again or anything
Oh,
like that?
yeah, those are pretty much all the ones you would hear.
Is that it? Have we exhausted the entire? There's no other
Striker
good ones.
strikes again. I don't know.
Yeah.
Striker strikes. I'm curious to see what other people can come up with.
I
So,
think I have just a strategy or an idea. If you're a baseball fan, when the pitcher gets strikeouts, they have like put the backwards K's on like a
oh,
poster and they hang it over the fence to tally those up. Maybe someone, as you score goals, can put like a backwards K and they just
that's
tally
a
them
great
up.
idea.
So that's just if someone wants to run with that for part of the USC fan group, we'll
Yes,
point it out.
better than the ones I've seen for bowling. So,
Yeah. That's like like 3 in a row a turkey or something in bowling. I don't know.
I
Yeah.
couldn't tell you.
Okay, good enough. Anyway, Ava, wishing you all the best this weekend at MPSF and of course at NCAAs and with Team USA. And appreciate you taking some time.
Yes, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.